as well as learn from the broader scientific community. This afternoon, we are very much honored to have with us here our speaker. Before I call him on stage, here at the podium, let me read to you a brief background. Our speaker is a professor of pathology at the University of the Philippines, Manila College of Medicine, and editor-in-chief of Acta Medica Filipina, the National Health Science Journal. He is the chair of the National Journal Selection Committee of the Western Pacific Region Index Medicus. He was the former chairman of the Department of Pathology, University of the Philippines College of Medicine. He was also the president of the Philippine Society of Pathologists from 2002 to 2003 and chief of the Surgical Pathology Section of the Department of Laboratories, Philippine General Hospital from 2003 to 2006. He graduated magna cum laude at UP Diliman for Bachelor of Science in Biology. He was a visiting fellow in Pediatric Pathology, Northwestern University Children's Memorial Hospital, Chicago, Illinois, USA. He was also a recipient of various awards for outstanding research and publication. To date, he has several articles published locally and internationally. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let me call on our speaker to talk on following instructions to authors. Dr. Jose Maria C. Avila.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad to be here again in Cebu. Actually, this is the first time I've been here to lecture on materials related to research. The last 5 times I was here, I was doing pathology stuff. I was speaking about pathology, but it's a completely different thing. Let me first introduce myself. Just call me Joey. And I'm editor of this journal, Acta Medica Filipina. I've been editor of this journal for 9 years, since 2005, since the time Jimmy Montoya started asking me to revamp the journal, and with budget, of course. You cannot do anything here without money, believe me. And but I have been with this journal since 1990. Can you imagine that? I think I was a first year faculty member in UP, pathology. And I don't know why, but they got me as a staff member. And we were only 5 or 6. There was an editor-in-chief. And what we would do is we would collect articles from the University College of Medicine. And when we got the articles, it would be divided among the 5 members of the committee, of the 5 staffers. And we would assign, there were 10 articles, we would assign 2 each. And we were asked to edit it. And most of the articles that were assigned to me, I knew nothing about. It was about surgery, it was about OPFA. What do I know of that? So this was what we were doing in a few years ago. But I was shocked to learn that that's what some of you are still doing. Maybe, huh? Because I'm still the president of I'm a member of the local journals editor group, and some of the editors are still doing that. And they assign people to edit in their own in their own staff, within their own. And that's what we call internal peer review, which is not encouraged by the International Committee of Medical Journal Editors. For them, a true peer review group is an external peer review group, which is independent and has no bias for any or for any faculty in your group. Because if you're from the same school, and you're internally reviewing people, you'll be very biased. And if you hate this guy, you're not going to react kindly to his paper, and things like that. So I think if you're going to come up with a journal, or you are in a journal now, and you are editing papers as a group, or you're dividing papers among yourselves, I think that's not the way to do it. And we stopped doing that in 2005. And that's why we were able to, through a lot of difficulty, we underwent a lot of difficulty, but I think a lot of respect is gained by doing external peer review. And that's the first thing I learned when I became editor of this journal. We're now in Scopus, we're indexed internationally. Scopus is a big organization owned by Elsevier. It's similar, very similar to ISI. And it is almost all major libraries in the US subscribe to it, also in Europe. So this journal is seen with full text around the world now. That's why we are deluged with now with a lot of articles, submissions. And in the past, we were rejecting only about 10%. But now we have to reject about 50% because there's just too much. But and most of the problems are from this. That's why I think I was assigned this today. People do not follow instructions to authors. It may seem so simple and so trivial, but it is such a huge problem that I get. I have high blood pressure. Well, I'm stable the past 15 years, but this is really a cause of high blood pressure. People do not know how to follow authors, and the reason is because we do not have a culture of publication. And I'm going to explain that a little more after I go through, as I go through this talk. Okay, what I'm going to do here in this, for this lecture is that I'm going to talk about instructions to authors of medical journals in general, but of course I'm going to focus on my journal, Acta Medica. And it's going to be my viewpoint as an editor, not as a writer. And I said, Filipinos do not have a culture of publication. But Filipinos have a culture of research. Ang hilig natin mag-research. Ang dami-daming research. Nakatambak sa mga kwarto, sa mga opisina, ang dami. Yung tinatawag international as gray literature. I don't know why it's gray. Maybe it's gathering dust. So it's graying already. But that is such useless material. Any gray literature is not worth anything. Even if you pinaghirapan nyo ng 2-3 taon, no? Kung hindi nyo na-publish, it is completely useless. Nobody respects that. Nobody has seen that. The peer review, which is so important for publications, is the quality seal of approval. Alam nyo yung quality control na nakikita nyo dun sa mga appliances, no? This is the equivalent for medical publication or any publication for that matter. It is the quality seal of approval. Without that, it's worth nothing. I tell you, no matter how good it is. So you have to have it published, it has to be exposed, people have to comment on it. So some people will say that, oh, dami naming papers, dami naming research. Na-publish ba? Kasi kung hindi na-publish yun, baka wala talaga yun. Tapoy nyo na lang. Kasi nobody will see it, nobody will respect you, nobody, forget it. So please have your papers published. No? And this is one of my problems. Because as an editor, I receive a lot of papers now, but since we don't have a culture of publication, nobody follows directions. Nobody but nobody. And it's a big headache. I'm going to go through that as I go along, on what the areas are that give a big headache. It causes delays of things, especially now in the computer age, where like we're internationally indexed. Imagine our bibliographies that we publish in ACTA is scanned by professional software, by Elsevier. And they will detect any error in that bibliography. And yung mga Pinoy, especially mga residente, if you ask your residents to, if your residents, or yeah, if you ask your residents or your fellows to do the research, alam mo, kung minsan, when they do the bibliography, nakakalimutan talaga yung page. O, pag pagbabalikan na nila, ano nga pag page yun? So, mag-i-inventor lang siya. Ako na, hindi pwede yun. Pag nahuli tayo ng gano'n, sa international publication, wala na. It's completely useless and will be nakakaya. Sino muna tataba? Yung editor. See? Ang hirap talaga nun. No? It's a very difficult thing to experience. And there are people who have experienced that online pa. And there are accusations floating. So we're very, very careful, and this causes a lot of delays. So this is not a lecture on how to write a good article, but a lecture on how to prepare well for one. I can't teach you how to write well. I think you will write well. That's my from the years of the years I've received articles. The articles are good, but they're not well prepared for publication, and that's the main problem. Okay. Well, what is the instructions for authors? No? I think it's about what the journal expects of you and from you, a writer and author of a publication of a journal. So before you submit your article, before you start writing your article, you have to read the instructions to authors of the journal, which we call a target journal, that you have in your mind. If you're going to write a paper, hindi ka rin na mag-isip sa Amerika, sa Europe, yung mga serious researchers. Bago sila magsulat, may journal na. Yung journal muna ang isipin. Tayo hindi. Tayo magsusulat tayo, ay, requirement ito kailangan isubmit ko to. Huwag pagtapos doon, submit to journal. Ay, nga pala. We have to submit, requirement. See? So you have to think on target first. So mag-isip ka, what is the journal that I'm going to submit this to? And that's very important. Because different journals have different perceptions of science as well as different opinions on how articles should be written. And I'm sure most of you who are writing and submitting to journals know that. May mga journals, I call maarte. Marami silang gusto nila yung mga high, what do you call that? High quality research na sobrang, yung mga tipong you've never read anything like it before in your life. Ito yung mga science, nature, yan, mga highbrow journals. So siguro, kung magsasabit ka doon, highbrow din dapat yung article mo. Or if you're aiming for New England Journal of Medicine, your paper has to be outstanding. Okay? But kung gusto mo lang yung mga regular good journals, baka pwede na yung journal, yung article mo. Now, it's very important also to have a secondary target journal. In other words, you have another journal in mind. You won't lang isa, may second choice. And maybe the third choice is possible. So okay, so target natin Acta Medica, kung hindi pwede sa Acta, maybe PJIM, kung hindi pwede, iba naman. So I think that's important. Nowadays, the fight is on the journal impact factor. The journal impact factor is based on the number of times an article in the journal gets cited. And there's a formula to get this. Your journal must be about 4 or 5 years actively exposed internationally before you can get an impact factor. Of course, if your article is not in Scopus, or it's not in ISI, or it's not in PubMed, it will never get an impact factor. Because it's not exposed at all. Ang tayo na babasa. So it's so important to have journals internationally indexed. And that's what I've seen, and I'm so glad that we got it. Because it's so hard now to get even inside Scopus. one of the big journals now, which I was trying to help get in, JAFES, the Journal of ASEAN Federation of Endocrine Societies. They have so much money, they have a journal. I think the problem that's why they were rejected, was that they were not looking very carefully at the format and at the bibliography and these things that we're going to talk about now. It's not really the content. Kung hindi masyado maganda yung content, pwede na. But if you don't follow the correct bibliography pattern, if you don't follow good titles, good abstracts, it's gonna get rejected. And that is what happens. So journal impact factor is very important. No? And usually you would want to publish your article in a journal impact factor, let's say, of the highest is about 12. Yung Nature, yung Science, about 12 ang impact factor yan eh. Yung iba mga 3 or 4 pwede na. But you would want to publish in one of those. No? The journal impact factor of ACTA is 1, which is at least it's visible. Kasi tayo lang ang visible eh. Kami lang, yung ACTA lang ang visible sa international. 1 is parang yung starting point. But we were only exposed internationally in 2012. So 12, 13, 14, syempre, hindi pa nasa site, hindi pa tapos magsulat yung mga nag-site siguro. Kasi remember, 3 years pa lang. So it takes that amount of time, the people will research and look at your articles and start quoting you. So ngayon lang naman, 2014, 15. So ngayon lang natin malalaman kung ano talaga. Of course, check the editorial board of nationalities. If the editorial board has a lot of international people or people from the third world, then there's a bigger chance that your article from the Philippines might be accepted. Okay? So I think that's important also to note. Of course, the instructions to we have an online version of the ACTA. Please check it out if you haven't seen our online version. It's a little unusual, but we wanted it to be unique. You can Google ACTA Medica Filipina and you have a nice layout there. But anyway, this is the online version of our instructions to authors. See, it's just click that and it's going to show all the instructions will be here. It's I think at the back page of the printed version. Okay, now let me just go through the instructions quickly. Usually the first paragraph is editorial. This has a general or mentions general editorial policy. No? Notice that the word peer-reviewed is there. So it's very important to publish in a peer-reviewed journal. I think this is, but we edited this already. It is an external peer-reviewed journal. And we publish 4 times a year, so it's quarterly. You also note that you have to put that in your journal. And then your publisher, UP Manila and Department of Science and Technology of the Government of the Philippines. See, so the boss should be there, okay? Because sometimes they will write, if there's a problem, they will write the boss, or any reader will write the boss to make a complaint, no? And then what kind of articles you publish, you have to include also. See, we put there, publishes original scientific papers in the field of basic and clinical, medical, or health-related research. It has complete editorial independence from its publishers. That's very important. And you have to stand by that, and you have to put that there, so that they will know, people will know that the editors will not influence you. You understand what that means, right? So when the school says, for example, your journal is published by school, and the school says, oh, publish to ha? Bahala na, basta palabasin mo yan. Hindi pwede gano'n. Your journal will collapse soon. Pag gano'n ng attitude. So, ito ACTA, hindi pinapakialaman ng UP Manila to actually. Hindi pinapakialaman din ng DOST to. We just published. They gave us money. So that's it. They never have even called me in 9 years. So you list down also the kind of articles you you accept, no? Whether nilagay dito namin, collective and current reviews, original papers, case reports, lectures, essays, editorial abstracts, letters to the editor. But we give priority to health, medical or public health nature topics. Okay? I can't, we sometimes receive weird papers. One time I got a paper from India, I think. Because we're international, and some countries give us papers. The paper was about how the atmosphere or how the moon interferes with population growth or something, no? I said, never mind this, no? I get weird stuff like that. Now, we prefer also original articles over case reports. You know why? Because case reports is not usually cited. Nobody cites case reports. So I publish only a maximum of 2 per issue, if I can. But we do receive case reports. And we put back this, the most widely circulated professional health publication in the Philippines, and likewise reaches key medical libraries in Asia and the world. This will include this publication in 1939. Okay, all manuscripts, correspondence, and editorial business should be sent to Acta Medica Filipina. So we have an address there. However, email submissions are also accepted. Actually ngayon, na-revise na ito eh. Ngayon, we accept email only. Okay lang. Basta you go through a checklist and you submit everything we need. It's okay, but by email. You don't have to give us a hard copy. So if you're from Cebu, for example, and you want to submit an article, you can just email the whole thing. And we will acknowledge accepting it. These manuscripts are subject to editorial modification to bring them in conformity with the style of the journal. Okay, so we will, of course, modify the journal, the paper as we see fit. Now, we have what we require what we call a cover letter. And I think all journals require this in some form. Now, the cover letter, you should have the authors listed down, full name, and with one author designated as a corresponding author. And this corresponding author is the one who will communicate with the editorial office or with the journal. So you assign one. It doesn't have to be the first author or the last author. It could be anybody, but it has still to be an author. Okay. And you have to put there, the following statement must be signed by all the authors who have been sufficiently involved in this work to take public responsibility for its validity and final presentation as a original publication. Whenever applicable, there should also be a written declaration the article had written for consent for publication of the involved subjects have conformed with ethical standards and are having reviewed by the appropriate ethics committee. I'm going to expand on that later. And the transmittal letter must include a statement. This paper has not been published and is under simultaneous consideration for publication elsewhere. And we confer all copyright ownership to the ACTA in the event that this work is published in this journal. Okay, so that's another paragraph. But it's about the cover letter. Okay, I showed this to you earlier. The general editorial policy describes the journal, its audience, purpose, or objectives, journal ownership, editor, publisher, type of articles it accepts, statements of some ethical policies. Now, the cover letter, you have to write the corresponding author. There will be authorship issues. I'll talk about that. Ethics clearance, now, all papers have to go through ethics board. And I'm going to expand on that. Now, all co-authors have to sign cover letters and indicate roles as co-authors. Some journals require that. We require that also in ACTA. So if you're 4 authors, all of you have to sign. And all of you have to sign policies. No? Some journals require a statement on the importance of the study and the reason it should be considered for publication in the journal. That's good. You know, I suggest if you're going to apply, especially to a large or highbrow journal, you have to include that while you want it published in their journal. Now let's talk about authors. No? According to the International Committee of Medical Journal Editors, actually you can Google ICMJE and it's going to come out. No? ICMJE is composed of the editor-in-chiefs of the highbrow medical journals in the US. So the editor of Lancet, New England, Science, I think, basta mga 5 or 6 journals. All the editors of those came up with the definition of an author. An author is a person who has made a substantial intellectual contribution to a submitted manuscript and accepts public responsibility for its content. That is the general definition of an author. But substantial means all of the following. Not one, not two, but all. So number one, you're an author, you must have a role in the conceptualization and design of the study, and or the acquisition of data and or analysis and interpretation of the data. Number two, drafting and or critical revision of the manuscript. And number three, final approval of the version to be published. You must have all three to be an author. So if you're an author and you have never seen the paper, then you don't deserve to be an author. Or if you didn't approve anything, but they put you in, then you're not an author. That's according to the ICMJE, which is the boss of all journal rules. No? Now, the corresponding author is the person who holds all communication with journal editors from submission to publication. So, if you're only one author, then you're the corresponding author. Right? If you have 20, like some of the research things that I saw earlier, and the corresponding author must be assigned. And the editor will talk to that. So, there are problems dun sa isa. Hindi yung hahanapin namin isa-isa kung sino lang pwede. No? So there must be somebody assigned. And of course, he must also be an author. But some journals require guarantors. A guarantor is a person who takes responsibility for the integrity of the work as a whole, from inception to published article and publish that information. So integrity, in other words, kapag may pumalpak, no? Yung guarantor ang kakausapin at yun ang makakaproblema. Okay. But that all journals have. We don't have, in ACTA we don't require a guarantor. Just a corresponding author. But more and more journals now want a guarantor. Because of falsification and unethical practice, they want somebody like this. Example, so like look at this the Brain, which is a urology journal. They require all authors with a signature and I certify I've read and approved the final version of the manuscript. I agree to take public responsibility for its contents. The work reported in the paper is not intended to be published anywhere except in Brain. So meron silang form na ganyan, which you have to fill out. Here's another one. I'm not sure now where this came from, but they have, if you're an author, you check the blocks that you did to become an author. No? So think about, I participated in designing the study, I participated in generating data for the study, I participated in gathering data, I participated in analysis, I wrote the majority of the draft, I participated in writing, and so on and so forth. And then you sign your name. Notice wala yung I bought pizza and food for the authors, hindi kasama yun, ha? Kasi iba, sinasali yun. I'm not kidding. Yung, kunyari, yung naging parang habang nagtatrabaho, yung nagpapakain, sinasama yun. Of course, there are others like you declare that you have no competing interest or no conflict of interest when you wrote the paper. Kunyari, you wrote a paper about a drug, no? And then, yung pala ikaw presidente ng kumpanya. Dapat lalagay nito, no? Okay, so this is, we talked about this already. Now, there are many problems with authorship. Actually, the editor, as an editor, I don't have to deal with that. But eventually, I deal with it because these are, they ask a lot of questions about this. Okay, large group and multi-center studies. Sometimes you have a lot of authors from different institutions. Paano ba i-arrange ito? Ano ba ito? I-alphabetize natin lahat? 30 authors. Who's going to be the first author, second author, third author? Are we just going to put groups there? Kunyari, the Cebu Institute group, and the Black, and the gano'n. So, paano ba yun? See, that's a problem. Who's going to be the first author, second author, third author? First author is very important because that's the lead author. No? And ikaw yung pinakamaraming na-contribute, actually dapat. So, now, there are what you call senior authors. Kunyari, ikaw yung you're the one with the name. There's some journals, when they see your name, and you're a famous guy, no matter who wrote the other authors are, they will publish you. So, that's kind of important. Usually the senior author is the last author, the last name. And that bears something. This is practiced still in the US, I know. Gift authorship. Sabi mo, oh, but that's my chairman. I will give you a gift. I will make you an author. Balita ko sa Middle East, ako, this is not ginagawa pa natin ito kasi they demand. No? If you're the chairman of a department, kailangan kasama kasama ka. Wala kang magagawa. Dito ako sa Manila, parang hindi yan. Ayoko na lang bang ito pa. Ngayon, I think what you should do to avoid problems like this is that you discuss on yourselves prior to the study. You sit down on the table, sino magiging first author, sino second, sino third. Pag-usapan nyo na. Kasi magkakaproblema kayo kung hindi. I've had problems with small groups, especially students and the mentor. No? Kasi alam ko maraming ganyan group of students of 20, there's a faculty mentor. Anong gagawin natin sa faculty mentor? Yun nangyari, yung faculty mentor, yung first author. Bago yung iba. Lumapit sa akin estudyante, Sir, this is unfair. Why did you become a first author? Sabi ko, hindi ko ba pinag-usapan niya? Sir, hindi yan ang problema yun. Na-publish na kung gagawin natin. Magkano pa tayo, magre-retract, kung anong sasabihin pa natin. So, to avoid this, you have to sit down and talk about it. Now, there may or may not be rules on authorship. But in certain countries, there are no rules. Rambol yan. Mabuaway. I think in the Philippines, we are not too mature yet to follow those rules propagated by the ICMJP. Marami pa rin yan, kasi some of the chairmen require. And that's the reality. Some of the chairmen require that they be authors. Wala tayong magagawa, ganun talaga. Pero dapat niya pinag-uusapan na. Para wala nang samahan ng load after. Lalo na kung maging popular yung article. Bago, may mga nakasama doon na hindi ko na naman ginawa. Huwag magsisisihan tayo after. So dapat, you talk about it, even before you start writing it, parang wala nang problema. Basta ikaw first author, ikaw corresponding, ikaw ganito. So, ganun. By the way, ghost authorship means the best example of this is in, let's say, I'm a pathologist and there are radiologists also who usually become ghost authors. In other words, merong radiology discussion doon. Or may pathology discussion kasi mahirap these are fields that require expertise. And usually, the pathologist writes some notes on the report, kinokopya yun. So, pero hindi na-acknowledge yung pathologist or radiologist. Very common yan sa mga case reports. No? Hindi na-acknowledge na may pathologist na mag-diagnose noon, kung may mga description about pathology there, nakalimutan nilagay yung pathologist. That's what you call ghost authorship. And it's not a good thing because may mga nagre-reklamo na. There have been complaints online na why was this? The editor should be faulted because the ghost authors were not identified. And this is a problem for editors also, so I'm concerned about this. Kaya mahirap pag online only talaga eh. Everybody sees everything. So you have to be very careful about online versions of journals. Now, ethics issues, well, if you're forming an ethics committee, well, there are some of these, if you can go online and look at some of these articles, there are very good articles on research involving human subjects and guidelines with recommended guidelines of certain ethics boards, which you can consult and, if not copy, if you don't have an ethics board. I understand this problem. Sa UP, nagkakaproblema na rito kasi the ethics board gets so bogged down, it causes delays in approval. And pati ako na-apekto eh, kasi wala pang ethics clearance, gusto lang ma-publish. No? Kaya it's very hard. No? Now, this is just a list of research requiring ethics approval. So, before you write the paper, pag-usapan nyo na to, isipin nyo na to. It's a general list, so I think I should repeat this. Research involving human subjects. Research involving human biological materials like embryos, fetuses, reproductive materials, stem cells. Think of stem cells. Research involving observation of people in public places if there is any kind of intervention, like if you interview a person, then I think you should get his consent. If individuals expect a certain degree of privacy, you have to tell them. If dissemination of results could possibly identify participants. So anything that has the risk of identifying who's being researched, you have to have approval, consent. Now, research involving secondary use of data like health records, computer listings, back data linkage of recording or dissemination of results, as long as it can generate identifiable information, you have to have consent. However, here's a list of those that do not require ethics review. Number one, publicly available information legally accessible to the public and protected by law. You don't need ethics research for that. Observation of people in public places without intervention. Like somebody was observing how many times people hail taxi cabs at a certain angle, hindi na kailangan ng ethics. Or how many times nababangga yung mga kotse in this highway, hindi na kailangan yun. Research relying on secondary use of anonymous information or anonymous biological materials, as well as dissemination of results, does not lead to identification of individuals. If you're doing a retrospective study, you're a pathologist like me, you're doing a study on a certain tumor, and you want to go back to the slides. May mga number doon. Of course, if you don't have, hindi mo naman kukunin yung pangalan ng pasyente, okay lang. You probably don't need ethical research. What you probably need is permission from the hospital that you access those slides. But that, you don't have to get consent from those patients you're using those material for. Now, quality assurance or quality improvement studies doesn't need ethical research, ethical review. Creative practice activities, personal reflections and self-study, observations, you don't need ethics for that. For internal reports or external data collection that doesn't need any identification of people, public health surveillance that is legally mandated, you don't need research ethics for that. The search for critical biography that involving living participants, if doing writing something somebody who's dead, you don't need to ask his permission. Case reports based on the clinical notes of an individual patient with informed consent. Okay. So, yan mga yan ang hindi na kailangan ng ethics review. plagiarism policies. Some of the introductions to authors indicate plagiarism policies more and more now. Now, in Acta Medica, we screen for plagiarism routinely, but we do not use a professional software because we don't have the money to do that. It costs so much. What we do, I asked in Acta, I asked my copy editors to screen for possible plagiarism. And what they do is they use PubMed. I told them to use PubMed. Just any item that looks plagiarized, you type it in PubMed, or any article that looks really bad, really copied. You type the topic there, especially if it's long. Sometimes they plagiarize the whole title, or they plagiarize the whole abstract. And you have to, it's easy naman to suspect it. If you read an article, and if you notice inconsistencies between the paragraphs, I mean, yung baluktot yung first paragraph, but without perfect English na yung second, magpuda ka na. Baka naman kinat and paste ka ito. Now, you'll be surprised. When I was speaking, we were in, I think, Johnson & Johnson. Where was there, I think? We were in Johnson & Johnson 2 years ago. I was talking to a group like this, college students who were working for J&J to write stuff. And I talked about plagiarism. I talked about cut-paste journalism. And they said, and I told them, you cannot copy and paste and put it there. Especially if it's one paragraph, you can't do that. Maybe if it's one sentence, you can, but you put quotation marks. And you put that you copied it from this journal or this book. But you cannot copy and paste verbatim. Now, even if you copy and paste, and then you later change some words and change the order, that's still plagiarism. You have to do it in your own words. And they got shocked. They all thought that that was allowed. See, so this is what students think now. And they even ask me, but what's the cut and paste feature of Word for? That we can't do that. But can you imagine these are professionals who think that cut and paste is okay? It's not. It's plagiarism. What I always tell students, and when you take notes, you do that, and then afterwards, if you want to write something regarding the notes, close it all down, turn down the page, and then you start writing what you remember in your own words. For sure, it's not plagiarized. It's not going to come up plagiarized. You're going to change the words for sure to make it your own. But if you start changing, rearranging letters, and that is plagiarism. You're still copying it. In the Philippines, I don't know. I looked at the ethics policies of some of the major universities. They don't have policies about plagiarism. They may say that they don't tolerate plagiarism, but there's nothing. I mean, what if you're caught plagiarizing? What will the university do? They'll give you a scolding. So this is the problem, really. How can we prevent something when nothing is being done if you are guilty about it? So I think that it's about time that that universities have policies regarding plagiarism before it gets out of hand. In fact, it is getting out of hand. Look at the headlines. Every day there's a problem with plagiarism. See? This is not medical journalism. This is the no-no of all no-nos. You can't do plagiarism. It is your death knell if you do this. So please be very careful when you write. That's why I always tell writers, be extremely careful and suspect plagiarism everywhere. It's quite small. I'm not expecting to read this, but it's from the journal, the Pakistan Medical Association, and it has policies about plagiarism. See number 7. It is emphasized that the journal considers self-plagiarism, as equally unethical as plagiarism in any other form. If material is to be used from the author's previous work, standard referencing guidelines must be followed. So even if you already wrote it, you cannot plagiarize yourself. You have to change it in some other form. So there's at least this the policy. No? Okay, well, I told you that manuscripts, we changed our policy about this. You can send manuscripts by email alone. And it must be double spaced. And see, we have strict measurements and stuff. People don't follow this. May nagkasabit sa amin single space. Minsan 1.5 space, hindi double space. So you have to follow whatever the journal wants. Okay? Pati fonts ka hindi na namin, no? Ano pwede. Pati yung size, no? Weber 11. And the title page, well, so separate the title page. And then you put the names of the authors affiliated with the work, starting with the first name, middle initial, if any, and last name. The educational attainment or title of the author should be included with an attachment where appropriate. Name and location of more than 3 institutional affiliation may be included. If the paper has been presented in a scientific program, it must be given a footnote. Sample. Okay, so our concern natin with the title page, authors, and good titles. Of course, in the disclaimer, the work was presented somewhere, you have to put that. Well, here's some recommendations. The title page of the manuscript should include a title less than 14 words. Don't give long titles. You know, as an editor, I hate long titles. Pag masyadong mahaba, hindi ko binabalik ko na agad. Palitan mo yung title na to. Kasi pag nakita yung mga, you know how people browse through articles, they look at the title first and the abstract. Yung mga mahabang title, wala, papaparin na yan, puputuloy ka sa gitna, may text. See? So, please don't give long titles. Affiliation for each author must be complete, if necessary. And then yung correspondence about the manuscript. Dapat clear kung sino ang corresponding author. Kung may grant, you have to put it, ha? Yan, may nagbigay ng pera to do the study, you have to include that as part of your work. You have to put you follow the word count of the abstract. You know, sometimes, word has a checker, eh? Kung ilang words na yung nilalagay mo sa abstract. You can count the words. If the paper, if the journal requires only 200 words, then don't exceed 200 words. Diba, makulit eh. Lalong hinahabaan, hindi talaga. Marami ka sa ulo talaga. Kung next words, 3 to 5. Minsan, I'll show you, ang dami eh. Lahat yata nilagay niya eh. And of course, the word count of the main article, excluding abstract references, sometimes they require a word count or limit to the number of pages you can submit. Sa akin, we limit it to 15. Pero wala pa rin sumusunod doon. Pero bibigay sa akin ng 40 pages. Now, yung mga titles, according to Jamali and Nixon, there are 3 types, which is actually true. Declarative, descriptive, and interrogative. Yung interrogative, yung para question. I like articles like that, na may question. Well, declarative, you can identify the main findings and conclusions already. May article, smoking is teratogenic. Your findings is supported. And descriptive, subject of the article without a conclusion. Pwede rin yun. So it depends, no? Pero huwag masyadong mahaba, please. Avoid yan. This is the APA guidelines for titles. You may or may not follow it. But of course, you follow what the journal wants. No? Avoid long titles. Everybody agrees to that. Ito, less than 12, kanina 14. So use a colon to add additional information to titles. That's okay. Do not use acronyms without spelling them out. Naku, may title ako nakita. Puro acronym. Hindi ko na maintindihan kung pinagsasabi na. Ano ba yun? No? Avoid irony, puns, humor in titles. Ang daming, especially students, they like cinematic I call it cinematic titles. I was a judge in a surgery research paper contest a few years ago. Merong paper doon, title it's about penile fracture. Ang title ng kanyang paper, ang title ng kanyang presentation, When the Cock Refused to Crow. Ano ba to? Ano ba to? Pelikula na ba? Ano ba classic title to? Nagluto ba tayo dito? Ano ba ganun? Para sa akin, talo lang din. Hindi ko na kino-consider. These are what we call cinematic titles. And that's what we call it anyway. But I think we should avoid that. And avoid putting humor or puns. That's a big turn off sa scientific audience. Matatawa tayo siguro ngayon, pero bukas wala na. So please don't use those things. Here's a title with a colon, which is fine. And look at the, look at the, kasi nakalagay pa ng MD. Sa acta medical, hindi na tayo naglalagay, hindi na ako naglalagay ng mga doktor, tsaka we just remove all of those. Okay? But ito may mga titles ng professor na, hindi pa. Pwede naman yun kung yun ang gusto ng journal. Pero ako, ayoko na nun, kasi papahaba talaga And of course, you have to, affiliation lang, sorry, hindi nagkasya. Yung affiliation lang lagay mo, the Department of Health. Sometimes you have to put the country, kasi multi-center study which is what the journals like now. No? The more multi-center studies you have, tataas yung citation index mo. Because a lot of people like to cite articles like that. Okay? It's from Lancet. Oh, I put this in, I saw this. It was a nice title. How big is a giant sperm? You know, title of article. So it attracts a lot of attention. It's a question mark. And see, we'll ask you a question, get your science paper cited more. See, she asked a question. Lots of stuff other than content and influence by scientific papers are cited by academics. See, so I like this one. I said I like papers with question marks. Okay, well, you all know how to submit manuscripts. Just follow the instructions. No? Kung humingi ng not more than 15 pages, huwag naman kayo lalampas. Kung kailangan double space naman. No? You have to look at the manuscript format that they want. Okay, let's start with the abstract, which is part of the manuscript. Ito 200 words sa acta. Pero sabi siya, alam mo, if I follow this, walang mangyayari. Kaya hindi ko na minsan ayoko na pansinin din Kasi sumasakit lang ang ulo ko But we require a structured format. Hindi pwede yung one paragraph lang Dapat nandun yung yung materials and methods. So that's what you call a structured format. Everybody does that now. So please do that. Pag case report, the abstract should be 50 to 75 words. It need not be structured. At least then you require a mesh list that you should put under the abstract. Okay, this is what do you call this? In the structured abstract, introduction or background. Why did you start? You summarize in one sentence the current knowledge or state of the art related to the work you're presenting. Objectives, what did you try to do? State the aim of the study, include a short statement of the study's hypothesis. Methods, what did you do? So you have to put a very concise description of the method and don't put too much detail. So in a few short sentences, you can give the reader a good idea of the study and then the context in which it was done and the type of patients or measurements are included. Then results, give the main results of the study, but not just in subjective terms, but also in the form of some real data. And of course, conclusions. One sentence should do. Abstract lang naman Examples of unnecessary content in an abstract. Bibliographic references, wag muna. Details about the laboratory and other assessments conducted. Hindi na kailangan yung detail na yun, no? Sa abstract. Details about the statistical method employed. Huwag na muna yun. Details about the value of the statistical criteria of our test. And its degrees of freedom, pati p-value, chi-square. Hindi na kailangan yun sa abstract. Now yung mesh terms, ano ba, you can consult the website for the keywords that are allowed to be placed in mesh. The NLM text indexer, you know, the National Library Privacy, also has this. No? And you can search. If you're clueless about what to put, you can go through them. But the best thing I do, you search PubMed to find articles of similar topics and review the mesh headings assigned to these articles. And you just copy. Kung similar naman, okay lang, zero plagiarism. You're just copying words, mesh words. Here's an article which we published in the online, the latest, in print, the latest edition. I like the title. The title is exactly what it's saying. You know? It's exactly what. When you read the title, you have no idea what it is. Of course, you don't know the result, which I like because you'll have to read the content and see the objectives. Very, very nice abstract objective methods, results, conclusion, keywords. Dami, nilagyan na lahat eh. Pero hindi niya tinawag the mesh index. Okay lang. We allow that. Although the conclusion, if you want to read this, it's a little bothersome. But I like work like this. It's controversial, but it has evidence. It's not based on hearsay. And I challenge you to write stuff like this and submit it to me. Some of my co-editors did not want the paper published. And I said, let's do it. And of course, the manuscript, as I said, should be arranged in title, page, abstract text, references, tables, figures, illustration. So you have to submit this in sequence. And 25 pages yung aming document text for case reports, 10 pages, including the visual aids and references. References should be selective and pertain directly to the work being reported. Huwag naman yung alam mo may nagbibigay sa akin ng mas mahaba pa yung bibliography kaysa manuscript. Huwag naman ganun. Hindi ako na-impress na ganun. Basta tama yung bibliography, okay na sa akin. I think it should be at least a good 15-page or 25-page manuscript. Should probably have about 20 to 30 bibliographic entries. A good case report should have about 10 to 15. And all the sheets of the manuscript should be labeled with the family name of the main or first author. I think we talked about this already. Well, I just want to say something about, look at the last paragraph. We would like to thank the following individuals. Christy Finch for her contributions to edits with manuscript. Blah, 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 review. We'd like to thank for the photographs. See, you can put them here as an acknowledgement. You don't have to make them authors if they don't satisfy the criteria for authors. Okay? You don't have to acknowledge the people who gave the food and the pizza and the drinks. Never mind that. But you can acknowledge these people for taking your picture, for typing your manuscript. Okay, that can be done. Okay, now for references, there are many ways of doing it. You know, your Vancouver, your ANSI, kung anong APA. It doesn't matter as long as you follow what they want, what your journal wants. Okay? But sa APA, we're very specific. We want you to, we have some rules. And of course, you have to, our style is you should number the references in the order by which they are mentioned in the text. So, yung order sa text, yun ang gusto namin ilalagay mo sa bibliography. You should provide inclusive page numbers. Hindi pwedeng page 1 to sawa, 1 to 22, but hindi pwedeng isang page lang. No? And journal abbreviation should be conformed with those in PubMed. So PubMed has a list of all journals. Dapat sundin mo yung ano. Ang Acta Medica, ano po? Acta Medica, Philip, PCHRD. Okay, so dapat sundin niyo yung form niyo. And in ACTA, a maximum of 6 authors per article can be cited. If there are more than 6, you put you name the first name and add et al. Now, yung punctuation marks and the style is very important. Please follow that exactly. Yung ANSI standard style by the National Library of Medicine. Examples. Teka pa yan yung DOI. Sorry, medyo ano eh. Hindi ko alam bakit magkalito. No? Hindi eksakto. Here's a... Okay. So, journal articles. No? Here's an example where they're allowed 6 authors. No? Bago mag-et al. Okay? Sa atin, tatlo lang. But you have to put the last name and the first letter of the first name in this particular style. Okay? And the way you do it is that this is similar to yung sa atin, no? It's the Vancouver style. No? The journal abbreviation, the year, semicolon, the volume number, inclusive pages, period. Okay? If you're quoting from a supplement, you after the year, you put a supplement 40, 130. Separate by semicolon. For book chapters, you write the name of the book write the name of the chapter, chapter 1. In the book with the author's first names or editor's first names and last name, eds, period, title of the book, comma, place where it was published, then colon, Churchill and Livingstone, publisher, comma, the year, then pages. You can even cite newspaper articles. No? Author, last name, first name, period, title of the article, when the surgery is infected, comma, how safe is the surgery? The New York Times, year, the date, and if you cited electronic, if it's an electronic paper, you have to place it there. Okay, here, ito pa rin, electronic paper yung sa baba. Lalagay mo yung DOI. I'm going to talk about DOI later. Okay, manuscript, monograph in electronic form. You can do this. Like this one, Clinical Dermatology Illustrated. It's a CD-ROM. Huh? So nakalagay, close parenthesis, monographs on CD-ROM. Bago leaves, etc. May copy naman sila to. Are you giving copies to them of this PowerPoint? Oh, you'll be given copies of this. So you don't have to, you can copy and get this later. Conference proceedings, so there's a style also. Kasi this is complete, I put this all up. Kasi sometimes some of the instructions do not mention the others. And supplements again. See, supplement, World Wide Web, no? Very important when you're citing the World Wide Web. You have to cite the date that you saw it, no? So if you saw it on December 13, 2000, you have to cite it there. 1994, no? And you have to put online. And because web pages are very dynamic, they change actually every few months. So sometimes when the author when somebody wants to look at this citation, wala na. Well, understood naman kasi it was cited sa matagal na. So available when you sign it on the website. Sometimes there are no authors, but you can just know how you cite it. Sometimes the author is a whole university, a homepage of a whole university. You can cite that, the whole page, the whole web page of the university. I don't talk about, let's just talk about DOI because it's very important now. Because in Acta Medica we're planning to put the DOIs already. The DOI is actually a digital object identifier. This is a unique alphanumeric string assigned by a registration agency which is called the DOI. It's online. It identifies content and provides persistent link to its location on the internet. The publisher assigns a DOI when your article is published and made available electronically. So the DOI actually is a set of numbers, beginning with a 10, with a prefix and suffix separated by slash. Okay, the prefix is a unique number of 4 digits assigned to organization. So you have to apply it. If you want to put DOIs in your journal, for example, I want to put DOIs in Acta, I probably have to apply the website for Acta Medica. And I will be the one, they will assign me some codes, and I will be the one to put DOI numbers on each article. And that DOI article is the location of the article. And it can be found easily in the web. One advantage is, for example, you're doing a research, you found the DOI, but you don't know where the article is. So if you can't find it, you can ask, the DOI to look at the article for you. And they will find it for sure. Say it's listed. It's registered with them. So I think this is now what's going on. If you look at because of the online trend now, if you look at the web pages now, almost all the big journals have a DOI. So you have the digital object identifier. So you can trace articles anywhere on the internet. Ito naka-DOI, hindi makita. Ito DOI ito. Ito mga numero dito. At yung article na yan. Tsaka ito, may PubMed ID number din eh. Parang DOI ito, pero sa PubMed ka. So may number siya. If you're in PubMed, may identifier na ng PubMed sa review nila. So itong article na ito, may PubMed number, at saka may PubMed ID, at saka DOI. Okay, talk about this. Just a few things about tables, figures, and graphs. Tables are cited consecutively in the text and numbered accordingly. And we want you to create tables using a program like Excel. Okay na sa amin yung Excel. Tables should not be saved as image files. Because some people just take a picture of the table and then submit as a picture, but pangit ang labas nun. So don't do that. No? The content of tables should include the table number and title and capital letters about the table, and explanatory notes and legends, as well as definitions, abbreviations used. And each table must be self-explanatory, being a supplement rather than duplicative information in the text. Do not use too many tables. I've submitted that Filipinos love to make tables. They make tables of anything. There was one article I received recently. There were 20 tables in the article. Sabi ko, oh my God, ano ba to? So, how can you publish that? You don't have to do that. Huh? I would like a table. The test for a table is, for me, I look at the table, if I understand it, I like it. If I look at the table, I don't get it after a few seconds, forget it. Pag figures ng our graphs, no Roman numerals with titles and citations underneath. Wala sa ilalim. Pag figures and graphs. And you can submit this as image files, as JPEG or GIF of high resolution. You have to remove identifying data of subjects or patients. No? Parang yung mga X-ray, no? Minsan may pangalan ng pasyente ron, di ba? So please, you have to remove that. Or kung may tao na may kita-kita yung mukha, you have to block out the eyes, no? Kahit patay na. And remove identifiers. Minsan makikita eh. This is just a repetition. Figures should be numbered in the order they are first mentioned in the text. Now, ask permission from copyright holders to reproduce tables and figures previously published elsewhere. Permission indicated with figure legend and original source included in the reference list. Now, somebody asked this question I always encounter. Do I need to ask permission if I'm going to put something I got from the internet, a figure, and put it there in my paper? My answer is yes. Anyway, it's very easy to email that person. Ask permission. Can I reproduce your figure in my paper? Blah, 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 blah. If they say no, you can't, then you can. Or what I do is, the clue is, if you think that baka reject, so can I modify your figure? Can I reproduce your figure with modifications for my paper? You should not say yes. It could be modification. But you cannot plagiarize the picture and place it in your paper. Siguro 2 weeks ago, I got an email. Somebody from Harvard wanted to reproduce a table from the old issue of ACTA. Siyempre sabi ko, yes. No? Kasi basta site yung ano. So I know it's being seen around the world. Nakita yung isang table about breastfeeding or something like that. See, here's a nice table. I like this table. It's, well, ang ACTA ngayon kasi colored na. So, I like tables like this. Example lang. Simple, I can understand it clearly. Well labeled. Minsan, I receive tables ang dami-daming kulay. Siguro more than 20. Hindi ko na ma-discern. Bukod ito, ang dami, 20 yung nandun. Sa kanan. See, look at how simple this is, but it's very clear. Never mind this. This is other tables that are. Sabi nila, if you have dapat daw hindi kasama sa table yung table number at saka yung title. At saka dapat daw, pag hindi bold ito, hindi rin daw bold yan. So may mga sila eh. There are some instructions to authors that say that you have to use a word table, no? And not a Excel. Kasi it's related to the way they print it. Eh. So you should follow. You read very carefully what they want. This is an example. Okay. So we also have requirements for photographic prints. Now, when we were black and white, we wanted black and white glossy prints. But now we're colored, so we accept colored prints. But the important thing is that photographs should be 800 by 600 dpi at least. That's per image. Computer-generated illustrations, which are not suited for reproduction, should be professionally drawn. Sometimes, maraming beses na natanggap namin, computer-generated illustrations, and then they enlarge it, puro pixelated, no? Hindi pwede yun. Bukod pictures na minsan ini-stretch para magkasya, that's bad. Don't do that. Don't alter the picture. Okay, whenever you submit photo micrographs, always put the stain and magnification. Many people don't put this at all. No? Siguro 70% of what I receive with micrographs will not put that. And that's a no-no. Okay, I mentioned already this. Remember, if X-rays are scans of body parts, may consent dapat. Here's a nice photomicrograph, well labeled A, B, C, D, and then very proper yung kanyang description. No? See? Very clear when you read it. Nakalagay magnification times 400, A through D. So it should be something like this. And the picture should be very clear. Hindi pwede malabo o madilim. No? Now, you might wonder, kasi some of you may want to publish online only. I get a lot of questions. Pwede ba sir online na lang? Kasi ang mahal eh. I'll tell you this, no? At present, we only have 100 copies of Acta Medica. Like this issue, I only have 100 copies of this. You know why? Because it costs so much. However, if we publish 1,000 copies, we pay only 180,000. For 100 copies, we pay 100,000. It's 1,000. It's 100. No, it's 1,000 pesos an issue, and this is a digital copy. It looks exactly like a print copy, but it's completely digital and costs a lot of money. And I'd rather, since you know, we're cutting on the budget, we'd rather lose the 80,000 than add another 900 copies. What happens if you do online only? You know, if you do online only, you run the risk of if your journal is banned, it's going to die a very quick death because everyone can see it. It will be condemned, believe me, and you don't want that to happen. I suggest you practice first with your hard copies first, especially in our country, third world. Bago, kung okay na, then you shift to online only. And besides, you know, look at this. This is for not a very popular journal. Look at the Pakistani journal. Look at the charges. Online only. For overseas authors, $400 US for a review. This is what you pay, huh? And right up to the end of it, you have to pay $100 for them to print it. Can you imagine that? And this is just a Pakistani journal. What more kung ano? Yung ibang highbrow online journals. And this is processing fees, they call it. Of course, you know, they need money because you have to maintain your website. You have to have full-time IT people working on your website round the clock. You have to have, you know, you have to change it to XML, you know, all the UCC. So it's really tough to maintain it online also. So it's not easy. And it's very expensive also. Yeah, this is my last slide. I just had to put this in. I saw this, I think is a recent study worldwide by Key Perspectives. Why the searchers publish their work? You can see the financial reward is last. There, okay? And first thing is communicate results to peers. And this is what, of course, personal prestige, gain funding. And the important thing here is that what I mentioned in the first statement, you know, if you have to publish your work because your peers will see it and you can communicate with them. They will tell you, you did great work, congratulations. Or they can tell you, you did wrong. You have to repeat it. See? And it's very important for quality control of your work. Because if nobody's going to tell you that you did great work, ikaw o yung mga kaibigan mo lang sasabi, you start believing yourself. And when you start believing yourself that you're very good, you're in trouble. So you start believing everything you do is correct. And that is the worst thing that can happen to any person, any researcher. And you're going to go down with a big bang or fall. So it's very important to communicate to peers, have it published in a peer-reviewed journal where others can see it. Okay, I think that's a very important take-home for this session. Also, be sure that you follow instructions because they will not publish it if you don't follow instructions. And be diligent. Hire people. If you don't have the time, hire people if you have the money to check your bibliography. That's what some people do in UP. They have no time. The CVS people, oh my God, they're so highbrow. They don't have time to do anything. But they hire people to check their stuff. And I saw that myself. Huh? They brought their people there and they started checking on bibliographies. So you can pay people to do it. You can pay people to check your English everything. But have it done before you submit. I think that's my last slide. Thank you so much for your attention. Talking too much. Meron pa pala isa. Universities are ranked based on number and level of complications. So if you want your university, if you're a university person or administrator, your school is not going to rank anywhere if you don't publish, because they count the documents visible around the world. And if your school has 0 documents, you will remain in the book in the bottom. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Avila, for the very informative presentation. And of course, for giving us the persuasion to write an improved research journal. So at this point, our floor is now open for your questions. If you may suggest, kindly state your name, the institution where you're from, to be followed by your question. So you can...
No, please ask. You know, ask anything. I don't care. Pero sa mga nakita ko.
I'm Dr. Thank you. Afternoon, Doctor. I'm Dr. Gloria Cristobal from University of Bohol. My question, Doctor, is suppose the articles in the journal did not pass through ethics review. Will that journal, or will those articles be not counted as journal?
Well, if you're talking to me as the editor, and if you submit your article to me, it has no ethics review. If I think it requires an ethics review, I won't publish it. You know why? Because if you publish it, and everybody sees that it has no ethics review, because people are going to ask him, is there ethics review? Was it done for this journal, for this article? If people see that, they're going to really catch on, and they will put your attention to that. And that has happened many times already. So please be very careful about the ethics. You know what time it happened already? We missed we thought of the ethics review na. We sent it out to our peers. No? Our peer reviewers caught it. So where's the ethics review of this journal, of this article? So it will be found out.
Any more questions? The microphone said.
Yeah, let me check. Please put the microphone.
I'm Dr. Warley Vicente from Davao, Region 11. One of the issues raised with publications that you were saying that once you publish it, it becomes public, and therefore if there's a need to have that a portion or that article to be patented, your so-called discovery, as it can no longer be patented, it can be copied. Is that right?
Yeah, what you should do there is that, I've heard a question before. What you should do there is have it patented first. With the Bureau of Patent, here. But you can have it published. How it belongs to you. Still, no? Even if you didn't have it patented, if you describe it first, it's yours. It's your original work.
Yeah, it could be your original work, but your original work may be copied without patent intellectual infringement anymore.
Then you can sue, or you can file charges against them. But here in the Philippines, I suggest, because I heard somebody in patents talk about things like that. Have it patented first, and then you write the article. That's their suggestion.
You just have to register.
Yeah, just register it.
Just register. Apply in the patent office.
Kasi matagal eh, yung source doon, di ba?
First to file. The idea is first to file. Register.
Oo.
You don't have to wait for the answer of the patent office. Just file your patent application.
Well, like your paper, if you wish.
How much are you charging for submission? We charge the fee?
No, we don't charge. We only require membership. You have to remember to apply to because membership is 500 pesos for a year. For issues. No, the membership doesn't no. When you're a member, you can apply it online. If you're from Cebu, you can apply online. We charge via PayPal. We're very secure. No? It is approved by the government also. You pay 500 pesos to PayPal. It opens up the PDF. So you can download as PDF any article of your choosing, including archives. Now, if the archive is not yet available, because we're trying to archive from 1939. So, but hindi pa kami umabot ng 1970 pa yata kami. Kasi, but we're archiving up to 39. Kung wala pa, just call our office, we'll give it to you.
Doc, the 500 pesos is individual or institutional?
There's an institutional fee. No, as an institution, you probably have to subscribe. We'll give you a print copy and online also.
How much is it?
At least 2,000 per year.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
I'm Dr. Walden Orsos from Silliman University. I'm the research coordinator of both the hospital, the training program, and for the medical school. So every end of the school year, every end of a batch of residents, we have already a pool of finished research papers, but not all of our output is an equal chance to be published. We have our own school journal, Silliman University Journal, and our librarian is right here residing and asking, do we have a subscription for ACTA? So my question, sir, is not all papers are presented for research paper contest, just like what we did this morning and this afternoon. But we have our own research paper presentation because it's a requirement for our students to graduate.
Okay, yeah.
So,
marami na nun, di ba?
yeah, and I think most schools are doing that, all medical schools. So can we just send these entries directly to you without asking?
You can. Actually, I suggest if you want to see if your articles, your research can get published, I suggest you screen them and look at check out our submission requirements. If you see that they qualify, then you can have them sent. But I think you should pre-screen first, and also the quality of the work.
Yeah, because we have our own IRB, we have our own peer review.
My main worry really is as I told you, the form, the plagiarism, number one, and number two, failure to check bibliography and other technical stuff. But for me, that's the main problem. And before you submit, you have to check those. Let's say we're going to have problems if you don't do that. Because these are students, no? I know that. Students and residents. They're always in a hurry. And when students, there's a deadline. And when there's a deadline, they will plagiarize. Believe me.
Yes, sir. So we will. We will guard that.
Yeah, you have to set.
And we can also coordinate with the librarian for the subscription.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you. Yes.
I haven't encountered in your presentation a policy on quoting a quotation or a bibliographic citation from an internet source.
Yes.
What's your policy about it?
Actually,
You just cut and
you cannot cut and paste. You have to. Actually, that's a whole topic. Kinds of plagiarism. You cannot do cut and paste plagiarism from the internet. When the rule is, whenever you're going to quote verbatim, you can quote verbatim, but you have to put quotations and you put the source where you got it. But you can only do that for phrases or sentence or one sentence. If you're going to quote something like one whole paragraph, that's plagiarism. Even if you put a quotation, you cannot do that. If you're going to quote a whole paragraph, you have to change the words. Yes, you have to change the words. If you don't, it's plagiarism. If you put a quotation there. If you put I know it's
citation.
It's still plagiarism. You have to change the entire paragraph in your own words.
I think
Sir, good morning, good afternoon, sir. Sir, I have a question. Can you comment on this? I am Dr. Hilario Marapar from Lupang, Ilocos, Region 1. I'm the chair of the Ethics Review Committee. I am worried with the residents who are in a hurry always. It's very true. We have turned down a lot of papers, and the problem is most, if not all, medical societies are also in a hurry to have their papers published. We have turned out, at Ethics Committee have turned out a lot of papers, and lo and behold, their papers get ethically cleared and published for publication. Can you comment on that, sir?
Okay. Last month, I was with the Pope's OB group. They had a huge conference. I was there. They invited me to talk plagiarism because the head of the committee felt that a lot of the OB training officers feel that plagiarism is okay as long as you put a quotation and you cite it. And they wanted me to emphasize that is wrong and that cannot be done. And I also mentioned people are in a hurry. All the training programs in OB have paper requirements, like what you have. No? And their solution, they were alone. They were solving it as we were talking. Because all the hands were there. Their solution was, we're going to require a paper, I think 1 or 2 papers, but it would be 1 year on deadline, 2 or 3 years. They require one paper or 2 papers, but they have 3 years to do it. So it is not, and then at every stage, there is a mentor who's going to monitor the progress of that paper. So that is the solution to that. Yung ethics, yung sinasabi mo.
Sir, yung ethics kasi minsan nakakalusot sila maski hindi na ethically approved ng institution. Hindi ko alam kung saan sila nagpapaklear.
Well, sa akin kasi, if kung meron paper na sinabi sa akin na walang yung front, yung title page na saying na may ethical clearance, we asked our ethics committee, have you approved this? Pag hindi huli. Ang problema, I realize that. Sometimes, they will lie about it. Kasi na-approve ng ethics committee, but there's nothing. See? And that's a big problem.
It gets published, sir.
Yeah, it's a big problem. If somebody will notice that, and you're peer reviewed and you're widely circulated, it's going to be a problem.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Dr. Kedeng from the PCHRD Region 1 from Ligan City. I have 3 queries actually, sir, because I'm having a problem with our journal right now. First is that in the higher education, state universities, we need a referee journal published in referee journal so that we can be evaluated as professors. Problem is, who will certify that your journal is a referee journal? That's the first question.
Okay, why don't check the? Did you pass through check the evaluation?
Not yet, because accredited. So before we were going to submit it for check accreditation, should be a referee, correct, sir?
Yes.
So it is accepted.
Check is very strict about that.
Yes.
They will require you to submit the peer reviews of
yes.
the journals.
With all those
yes,
credentials of the external reviews. But the point is that it's for evaluation purposes, for professors. They can accept if your paper has been published in a referee journal. The question is it needed, or who can certify that publication is a referee? Is it the editor-in-chief or the head of the institution?
Well, the editor-in-chief there's a statement, you saw that? Acta Medica is a peer-reviewed journal. Actually, we changed that. Acta Medica is an externally peer-reviewed publication. Now, it's an editor-in-chief's responsibility. If he's going to lie about it, it's his problem. But a true referee journal is one where the peer reviews are external from your editorial board, and They're from outside your university. So, I think, well, wala tayo magagawa. I mean, kung siya certify na peer-reviewed daw.
So that's well taken, sir.
Yeah.
For the last one, it's just like this. We have an editor-in-chief. Then he died. For example, it's the journal started in 2011. So he died. Unfortunately, untimely death. So I am the next editor-in-chief. I continue that. Correct, sir. Then, since those external referees are no longer cannot be found or walang data, so I have to resubmit that for external refereeing for different referees already.
You can do that. Yeah.
The point is, since shared accreditation requires consecutive publication, correct? So if it is the research done 2011, it's continued. And my point is, if it is done 2011, can we publish that those research at that 2013 or 14 sis doon na continue yung refereeing?
No, that's a dilemma. What probably you can do is relaunch the journal when you assume editor-in-chief.
For example, yes.
Yeah, you have to. I know that's worse. You have a gap of 2 years.
Yes.
That's not very good. Anyway, wala ka nang magagawa sa gap na yun.
Correct.
So you relaunch you relaunch now, 2014, with you as editor-in-chief, and you continue, and then do your own stuff.
Now, for the last editor, sir.
No, tsaka when the editor dies, somebody, I mean, the system can exist without the editor. I can be changed anytime, and after will remain. Kasi everything's already in place. So it can't be like that. There's something wrong with your system kung gano'n.
So
when you have to change the system.
I understand. Now, for this is another for the list already, sir. Now, for the consortium, for example, we don't have continuous outputs for research. For example, the R1 HRDC. Now, I am planning, because I am the chairman of the Research Utilization Committee, sir, that those funded research outputs to be so please help us in case we want to establish a referee journal as well. So it will take 2 years for our research to be finished because of the funding requirements and what are we going to do? Can you assist us, sir?
You mean to say it takes 2 years? Yeah, okay. You're talking about the time it takes for research to be finished.
Yes,
Before
because of the funding
published.
requirements for the research fund from
Yeah,
the PCHRD.
I understand that, but so what does that got to do with your journal?
I mean, wala kaming journal, we are planning to put up, for example. So, does it need, for a referee journal, does it need to be continuous?
Yes, the one of the main requirements for a journal to be accepted, even in the Western Pacific regional index rankings, is that it has to be peer reviewed, it has to come out on time. So
Minimum
if
of one.
So if you say you're coming out biannually, in other words, you come out 2 times a year, you must come out 2 times a year.
Oh, that's feasible, not every year. So,
The minimum requirement is twice a year.
minimum requirement.
It has to be at least twice a year, not once a year.
Oh, I see.
So that's what we're doing now is that if you come out only once a year, we put you on probation until you can satisfy twice a year.
For the start of the referee journals, start tayo sa referee journal. So, pwede ba ng once a year yun?
Dapat referee. We don't accept if it's not referee.
So, twice a year?
Yeah.
Twice a year, that's the minimum.
The minimum. But if you can submit your journal, we can make a preliminary evaluation of you. And if it's okay, we'll put you on probation.
And
make comments that you're okay. But we have to come up in the future twice a year.
so probably you can ask assistance from your level, sir, to...
Yeah, you can, we've done this. Right now we're helping 2 or 3 journals launch. We can help you, just tell us. You can visit my office. We can give you all the forms. I give out all our forms to if you want to come up with your journal or to make the peer review easier for you. Yeah, we will give you everything.
Oh, thank you very much, sir, for a very informative discussion.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Doc.
Yeah.
My name is Dr. Mauro Alan Alvarado from University of Cebu. I'm a nurse by profession. There is this an annual conference among nurses spearheaded by 8 countries, which are also spearheaded by the respective nursing associations. Just to name a few, there is Thailand, Singapore, and Philippines.
Right.
And what's nice about the East Asian Forum of Nursing Scholars is that they were able to tie up with a peer-reviewed international journal called the Asian Journal of Nursing.
Yes.
And another one is the International Journal of Nursing Intervention, which publishes all participants' entry funds automatically in the journal.
All, you mean abstracts?
Yes,
Okay, well, these abstracts?
In abstract form,
problem,
yes. In abstract form. My question is it ethical to publish in another journal through an article format?
Okay.
If the
Yes, no, it's not. It's okay to do that. If you publish only in that journal abstract, but you did not continue finishing it, publishing there,
it's full-blown
you
article.
can publish it elsewhere. You have to just change it a little. But it's okay.
But it's okay, sir.
Yeah, it's okay.
Thank you.
No, abstract.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Montoya of the organizing committee. Melfer Montoya, not the other Montoya. I'm interested to know if, because I'm from Cebu Institute of Medicine, and there are medical students who are using experimental animals in our studies. Now, I'm interested to know if there is really a need for an animal ethics review committee for that particular paper to be published in a journal.
Yeah, I think there are rules for animals, which are entirely separate from humans, for ethical treatment of animals. I think, I'm not very familiar with the guidelines, but I was listening to one of the, I was in the students' research, and that was an issue. It was, I think they're using rats, and there is there are rules for ethical treatment of rats. I think it's written down somewhere, so you should probably look into that. But I know there is, so you should follow that.
Okay, because
They might ask you.
yeah, because our concern is for these papers is the question, would they be published or not? Because we always tell them if it's
Well, if you have a statement saying that the standard ethical policies animals were followed in this particular paper, if you have a disclaimer like that, if you submit it to me, I'll publish it.
Okay.
But you have to sign it.
Okay, so while I was discussing that particular issue, my seatmate was also asking, I'm doing a paper on fish. So is there an animal ethics review for fish?
Yeah, I have no idea. Actually, I have never received a paper like that.
Hi, good afternoon. Romeo Busina from Cebu Doctors University College of Medicine. I'm currently doing a research paper as well for animals, and it's usually the Ayacook institution, and I think it's based in Southwestern University. One of the guidelines that they give to us is that as long as it is not, it is an invertebrate, then that's usually allowed, or they do not do Ayacook certification anymore.
Okay. So vertebrates lang.
For vertebrates, they usually need to have ethical reviews.
Yeah, that's a logical thing. I would think that would be the result. So you want a fish. Vertebrate na fish, well. Any other question about humans? So lang po eh.
Yes, sir.
Sir, can you comment on the use of photos? Like, for example, we have a lot of residents doing studies and they use photos of patients. They usually ask for the informed consent, which is, by the way, not a form, it's a process. And they usually cover the eyes. Now, the ophthalmology group are now complaining, paano naman po sa mata?
Yeah, as long as, alam mo, you can use the eyes. You can use close-up pictures of the eyes. Without necessarily identifying the person. But you still have to ask for consent. Gagamitin ko yung mata mo, hindi ka naman makikita eh. Pwede mo mata mo lang.
Hindi ko alam sir kung Pinoy philosophy nila yung ethics committee.
I think, you need to ask, you still need to sir. You can ask them, ako nung gagawin ko yung picture ng mata ninyo. Pero hindi ko kayo i-identify at yung mata nyo ay alam ko makikita, hindi kayo. So hindi nila makikita, wala lang sino. As simple as that, and I'm sure she will sign that.
Anymore? Okay, so that would be the last question. So thank you so much for your active participation for the parallel session. Also, we encourage everyone to kindly fill up your evaluation form. And please do not forget to indicate the session where you are in, okay? All your evaluation forms, please submit it to the secretariat. You know where the secretariat room is. Kindly submit it, that would be given. And of course, you have in exchange of that would be your token for the PHRS. So once again, kindly fill up all the evaluation forms in your kit. You would find it there, entitled Parallel Session, and of course for the plenary. Please do not forget to indicate the title of the session where you are in. If you submit it to the secretariat in exchange, you will receive your token. Also, I would like to inform you that all our parallel sessions and of course the plenary sessions are on live streaming. So you could visit www.PCHRD2014.healthresearch.ph. If you miss a session, so say for example you're here and you want to view the session that is currently happening, you could still visit the same site. So I will repeat, it's www.pnhrs2014.healthresearch.ph. So that's it at the back. Okay. So the same way, the slides of our speakers would be in PDF form, so you could find that also in our website. So they have to convert it. So please stretch your patience a bit. While the organizing committee is still converting. So at this point, in behalf of the Philippine National Health Research System, may we extend our heartfelt appreciation to our speaker this afternoon. So we would present to him the certificate of appreciation. Let me read to you the text. This is to be awarded by the chair of the RICUD of PCHRD, Ma'am Merle Opeña. Philippine National Health Research System presents this certificate of appreciation to Dr. Jose Maria C. Avila in recognition of his invaluable contribution as resource person in the session on how to get published in research journals. Given this 12th of August 2014 during the 8th PNHRS Week celebration at Radisson Blu Hotel, Cebu City. Signed, Dr. Jaime C. Montoya, Lead Coordinator, PNHRS, and signed, Dr. Enrico B. Gruet, Chair, CDCHRD. Thank you very much, Dr. Jose Avila.
Thank you all.
A round of applause, please, for our speakers. So, in the same manner, we would also like to thank you for coming over, for spending your time to attend the session. So, of course, in your program, it was stated that the opening ceremonies would be at 6 o'clock. So the opening of the exhibits would be at 5. So please be here at Santa Maria Lobby at 5. So for the information of everybody, if you would want to go online, we have Wi-Fi available. So you can find the name Smart Wi-Fi 1, 2, 3, and 4. Or for PLDT, we have PLDT Fiber 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you have that the password on your tables. So once again, good afternoon and enjoy the rest of the day. See you all later during the opening of the exhibit. Another thing, your certificate, you could claim it with my here. Thank you so much.
Mamaya na po yan sa registration. Sa registration.
To repeat that, evaluation, please submit it sa secretariat, not here. Okay? Just have your certificate with mine here.
Nag-submit na sila. I have to. Iba ang ano nila doon sa submit? In exchange for... Ngayon na? Bukas pa mag-t-shirt tayo. Bawal siya social media doon. Ilan na daw itong reach? Ilan na daw itong reach? Tanawa daw daw. Yung hindi na sinuben na 5,000 yun ang butak. Ilan na ang reach?
I think you're right.
Nasa akin. Kailangan niya kanila doon. Paano ba yung exchange? Kailangan nila mag-submit na. Paano mag-submit nila?
May nakalagay sa bawat session na
May name?
ako si Pia.
Ay, may sila Dr. Joy kasi alis na. Mayroon man ba sila?
Kaso dali ako ano yun sa company sa Santa Maria. Asa ka ba yun? Sino?
May tanong ka po from University of Cordilleras.
Okay.
May collaborates.
Okay, mauna ko yung series.
All sessions are live. Live streaming.
Okay. Certificate.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Ako yung hospital.
Sir, napatan kayo?
Email?
Tinanong ko lang yung nagalingan ng acting ethics. Ilan ba yung tinanong na?
Sir, yung mga evaluation sa registration checks.
Kasi nag-COVID dito sa gawa. So, kung nasa base.
What is the topic?
So, email mo lang ako. Itlagay mo na lang yung... So, siguro ko nila na isi tuwing araw. Ang mag-isip. Okay. Yan po sa original office ko noon is mag-ijay. Tama.
Kasi nandun sa San Pablo. Kasi siya yung master na
San Pablo.
Sa registration.